worth more than this paper money. In fact, just one napkin from this pack is gonna cost you 2,000 lira.
1,000 lira in Lebanon now equals just 1 cent.
This one, the 10,000, it's worthless.
Its currency has lost 98% of its value the past few years, and 100,000 is the largest banknote.
It was equal to 66 USD 2 years ago.
But today, it's about $1. Prices in lira have become insane. A cup of coffee at Starbucks went from 5,000 lira to 380,000 lira. A short Uber ride costs 500,000. A Big Mac at McDonald's, more than 1 million.
The lira is going down, but now most people are using dollars in trading and retail.
Now its people are shifting to a different currency.
Almost everything you're seeing is written in US dollar.
Now you just have your prices in dollars and it's so much easier.
This is not really happening by choice, but out of a crisis.
We have to adapt to it, so there's no way of doing it in a different way.
Business owners have given up, changing their prices every day or even every hour.
The dollar rate has been fluctuating a lot, so we decided to stick to dollars.
The rent, everything I pay in dollars.
But not everyone is happy about this move toward dollar.
We want lira, we don't want dollar.
It's really bad. Like, I don't think everyone understands. The people don't accept to pay in dollars.
Every country should have its own economy, its own currency.
A dollarization of a country will impact everyone and everything.
A lot of my friends, they had to go to other universities because they couldn't afford it anymore, especially that the fees are in dollars now. We lost a lot of professors.
So is Lebanon's official currency going extinct?
This day will come eventually.
But what happens when a country starts giving up on its own currency for another one?
Will America's dollar save Lebanon from its economic collapse?
It's actually very sad to see all your friends leaving and all your family leaving. You end up alone in Lebanon.
My dream in life, you can say an existential crisis.
Dollarization. When a country uses the US dollar in addition or instead of its own currency.
So right now I just exchanged 100 US dollars and this is what I got. I mean, this is almost 10 million lira, 10 million, imagine this.
Dollarization happens when people stop trusting their own currency.
To be exact, this is 9.4 million. All of this for $100. Imagine trying to buy a car, pay your rent.
Or even buying a Big Mac.
Just a couple of years ago, this would be 10,000 lira. Today, this will cost you 1,050,000 lira.
You will not see a menu written in lira anymore because it fluctuates too much.
It's harmful for business owners to keep their menu in Lebanese liras.
Every minute, the dollar change.
Imagine you're selling Nutella. You're importing it, so you're paying a fixed price in US dollar. But your local currency goes from being worth 1,500 lira per 1 US dollar to 10,000 lira, then 20,000, then 70,000, at one point reaching 140,000.
You should ask everyone, on which rate are you using?
Now it's 95. Maybe after 1 minute will be 100.
Every hour we might change the price.
You can easily see how you can actually stand to lose money simply because you want to sell something.
Now that everything is dollarized already, like people are barely depending on the Lebanese lira.
Even just 6 months ago, every single item in this store was in lira. And now there's still some stuff in lira, but more and more, almost everything you're seeing is written in US dollar.
Many customers prefer this just because it's easier.
One Starbucks coffee is 370,000 lira. And remember, this is the biggest banknote. So imagine all the bills you need to get out just to buy a coffee.
Now it's a little bit more stable because we entered the dollarization process.
Business owners are less stressed.
You don't get too worried if the dollar went up or down, if you're losing or not. Now you just have your prices in dollars and it's so much easier.
But the US dollar already impacts everything around the world. Not just goods, but services too.
Look at a company like this. They're doing maintenance on air conditionings. The services are priced in dollar. Now, if they were to have priced it in lira and the lira is fluctuating every day, every hour, they could actually really be in trouble. An app like Uber has gotten so confused about the currency that you can actually bid on the price of your Uber. So here you have it. It's suggesting about $6 or so, but I can bid below that at 470,000 lira up to 830,000. So what happened is that whatever the price that was quoted in the app, the driver wouldn't want to accept that. He would get a request and then make a phone call and you would actually negotiate it over the phone. But now Uber lets you negotiate it through the app.
Switching from a currency that's undergoing hyperinflation gives promise for a bit of stability, especially at a time where the banks here have collapsed. People can still pay lira, but at least the US dollar isn't constantly fluctuating like crazy.
They're priced in dollars. It's easier for both of us. The customer can either choose to pay in dollars or in Lebanese, but at the daily rate.
But what are the pros and cons of dollarizing?
Considering we live in Lebanon and like our official amla is lira, I'm totally against it.
Whatever problem happens between us and the United States, they can just turn off the flow of money.
The same as like we can't use Turkish liras, we can't use euros, we shouldn't be able to use dollars.
But imagine suddenly you need to pay for your groceries and rent in dollar, but you're getting a salary in lira.
It's harming the people, their salaries is still in the Lebanese lira.
Now imagine, many will convert their monthly salary from lira to dollar, but it will only equal just $200 per month. So you're making $1 an hour. So how many hours do you need to work to get some basic items?
Pepsi, 1 hour. Mayonnaise, 2 hours. Local hazelnut spread, 3 hours. Nutella, 6 hours. Washing detergent, 7 hours. McDonald's Big Mac meal, 1 day of work. A clothing iron, 3 days. Nike shoes, 3 weeks. A refrigerator, 1 month of salary.
A used car, 3 years of salary. This is a reality for many, especially government workers who obviously won't be paid in dollars. So many here will turn to family abroad who send money back to Lebanon. It's called remittance, and Lebanon has become the world's most remittance-dependent country. It's said it accounts for more than a half of its total GDP.
They get their money from outside in the US dollars, which is good for the government in Lebanon.
And more salaries are becoming dollarized. Employers might start by paying you 50% lira, 50% dollar.
It's very hard to find anyone who's going to accept to work if it's all dollarized.
The wages are still haven't increased.
The salaries are really low.
2 years ago, if you were lucky, you had family abroad sending you dollars. Dollars got you relatively far. You exchanged to lira and you could live well off. Lebanon was cheap for anyone with dollars. I visited here and would take a 10-minute Uber ride for $2 or eat a great lunch for $3. But Lebanon is no longer like that, and it's partially because of the dollarization.
They're more expensive now in dollars than they used to be before. Everything is getting more expensive in dollars.
Let me start in Dubai and showing you the price of a chicken platter from a restaurant chain called Roadster. This has locations throughout Lebanon and Dubai. In Dubai, it costs $13.50. Now let me show you in Beirut. The price is $12.50. Prices are becoming more expensive even in dollar than before the crisis started in 2019.
So I've heard that this restaurant actually gives you a really good exchange rate. So I have the option between paying in local currency or in US dollar. I'm gonna pay in US dollar and then I will get my change in lira, but at a really good rate. So now essentially every restaurant, every coffee shop has become a currency exchanger.
But how did Lebanon get into this financial crisis? Around Beirut right now, you will see billboards and ads to buy property in Greece, buy a passport to another country, or to buy gold.
Everybody's investing in gold right now because the gold is getting high.
Today, Lebanon has no president. There are warrant arrests for its central bank governor. Its people have lost faith, all faith in their government.
It's been really hard for everyone. I just want to curse these people.
I've seen my brothers lost all their money in their bank accounts, their life savings. I've seen my aunts who worked so hard as a public sector and they've lost everything.
The banks here collapsed in 2019 after massive corruption and after the banks put restrictions on withdrawals and transfers. Since then, millions have not been able to get their money that was in their bank. Some people I interviewed tell me that any disposable income is just used up immediately.
What are they gonna save up their money for? They had saved money before and then realized what happened. So they might as well enjoy, I think, the time that they have and the money that they have instead of being depressed.
So why is Lebanon dollarizing over other currencies? Well, for one, it is the default global currency. The vast majority of global transactions take place in dollar. And number two, Lebanon has actually always been somewhat dollarized.
Even before the crisis, Lebanese people used to use the dollar.
I remember coming to Lebanon in 2015, and that was the first time I had ever seen an ATM that dispensed US dollar.
Lebanon's most recent hyperinflation comes after decades of, well, inflation. Let's go back a few decades.
Back then, 500 lira could be somebody's monthly salary. Today, cup of coffee, 400,000 lira.
But never until now has the country switched its default currency to the dollar. More than a dozen countries use dollar as their official currency, and more than 66 countries peg their currency to the dollar, meaning their values will basically be equal regardless of fluctuations. While the dollar dominates the global economy, its importance could be under threat, with some calling for the de-dollarization. But hold on, if countries only switch to dollar when their currency is failing them,
can the Lebanese lira be saved, and should it even be saved?
Dr. Layal Mansour is an economics professor at Lebanese American University.
Dollarization is an illness.
She tells me that the only way forward is for Lebanon to give up completely on the lira and eventually introduce a brand new currency.
I suggested a law proposal to the parliament in Lebanon in 2020.
She says that by having its own currency, Lebanon will keep its sovereignty, but by pegging it to the US dollar, this will ensure stability.
You create a new currency, but this currency is supported 100% by US dollar. Instead of calling it US dollar, for sovereignty you will call it Lebanese dollar. You can call it Byblos dollar. You can call it Middle East dollar.
So aside from a full dollarization, Lebanon could in theory ditch the lira completely but introduce a new currency one day. But there are also more alternatives here too.
We don't think that dollarization is the silver bullet. It's the best option for now, and it's one that people trust and people understand.
I meet the founders of Sinbad. They've created a platform for a stable coin in digital dollars.
We're building a stablecoin wallet that helps people protect themselves from hyperinflation. There are more Lebanese outside of Lebanon than inside. There needs to be a payment network that reflects the global network that is Lebanon. And we think the best option for this is blockchain.
Using his platform, people can send money for free, all within their digital wallet.
Sinbad basically focused a lot on the user experience so that we can make it as simple as just creating an account on TikTok.
But changing an entire country's financial system takes time, and for now, US dollar is the easiest way to go. So will its change toward dollar end Lebanon's crisis?
Our families spread all over the world. Some of them are in Australia, America, Spain, Egypt. We really hope to stay in Lebanon.
My plan, unfortunately, leaving. Unfortunately, I would love to stay here. However, it's not a good place anymore.
Do you think the government will fix the currency?
No, I don't think. Our government is very bad.
One night, while in Beirut, I meet a bar manager who tells me he just moved back to Lebanon after he moved to Lagos just a few years ago because of the crisis.
It's getting paid higher there, but I said no because this is where I grew up.
And there are others who tell me they will never give up on this country.
Why are you still here? What are you doing here? Look at the country. I think being here, being surrounded by like your family and friends is comforting. No matter what happens, Lebanon is still just so lively.
But I ask many of the people I meet, what do you hope happens?
We all hope that the lira will become stronger again, but now we're in the middle of the crisis.
I hope that the people will make moves like 2 years ago and take down all the corrupted people in the government.
I honestly had hope. I really want to see that there's hope, but like I'm not sure if there is any hope.